Alright guys, welcome back to the channel Imagining Tech. Today's video is called Blockchain versus the Government. So what we know from blockchain is a disruptive technology that's going to be able to eliminate third parties. So any type of third party that you can think of, blockchain intends to get rid of that middleman and make the system a lot more efficient. Now, people tend to look at that as just banks, maybe even exchanges. But another thing is that the government, if you really think about it, is actually one of the biggest third parties that exist. It's pretty much the buffer that exists between people and the marketplace. Because without the government, you just have a completely free, 100% free marketplace. And the bigger the government gets, the more regulations get passed, the more red tape, the harder things basically become for innovators, entrepreneurs, people who want to start businesses. So it's kind of like a catch-22 problem, because you've needed government for so many things, because government is kind of what makes our society function in the way that it can. For example, for me to buy a house, I have to purchase that house and I have to buy the deed to that house, and then that deed needs to be notarized by a notary, and that notary needs to be sent to a bank, and that bank needs to do their stamp of approval, all that, and it needs to get uploaded to a database that is secured by the government. So you need government in order to have possession of land, have possession of goods and services. Government was actually, if you think about it, one of the biggest technologies that we were able to create as human beings. Government, once we had the ability to, and it's never been perfect, it's been one of the most powerful, important technologies that is kind of free form and has many different forms of government. There's many different ways of governing, but the ability for human beings to cooperate under a government has been the most powerful technology that we've ever had. And as our society shifts, we get whole new ways of doing things that technology allows us to do. For example, back in the day, we used to survive hunting and gathering. People would hunt for food, they would gather berries, and that's how they would survive. They would work together as a community, put all the food together, and that's how they would survive. They really didn't have a government. And they didn't really have money either. They had no need for it. Everybody just kind of shared everything. But then later on, as we moved to a different level of society, or a different part of society, we moved forward, we learned how to farm. And the ability to learn how to farm pretty much gave us like the agricultural revolution, where people could now grow food. And because they were growing food, you didn't really have the need to go hunt as much. You didn't really have the need. There was an abundance of food, is the point I'm trying to make. So it kind of gave way to currency, so that people could sell that food to other people, and that other people didn't have to spend all their time hunting and gathering food. Now they could go do something else that they found fulfilling with their lives. So eventually that led to money, and then eventually people wanted to accumulate money, and in order to accumulate money, they wanted to accumulate riches, and so they wanted to get physical things like houses and land, and who was to ensure that these things belonged to them. Like, that was the main thing. They wanted some sort of central authority to tell them, to assure that that is mine, that belongs to me. So that's basically where government came to be. It was a way for people to kind of agree on the same sort of rules, regulation, laws that govern everybody. But the blockchain is going to really, if you think about it, is the next step of innovation that is going to eliminate the need for government, to me, because if you have blockchain, now you don't really need a third party to store data. You don't need your house deed to be, you could store that on the blockchain. You know, you don't need your car note to be stored anywhere. You could store that on the blockchain. Everything you own, everything you can possess can be digitally traded through an asset, through a tokenized asset on the blockchain. So now the ability to own things, I don't need a third party to do. As long as the internet exists, I can own, I can buy, I can sell, I can publish, I can create, and still have complete control of my data and complete control of my assets. So that's a huge innovation that we no longer need government for. So if you think about it, the more blockchains grow, the more blockchains progress, the stronger they become, and the more outdated government technology becomes. And I think that's the best way to look at the government, as a technology. You know, I think that makes the most sense for me, to look at government as a technology that eventually will be replaced. Because every technology that becomes inferior to another product always gets replaced. For example, like cars. Like, everybody drives cars now. Nobody wants to ride like horses around everywhere because it's not as efficient. It's not as good. You can't listen to the radio. You can't feel the air conditioning. Like, these are innovations that are just superior in every single way to the horse and buggy. So naturally people will adopt them. And it doesn't matter if there's a billion-dollar industry behind horse and carriage, it's not gonna matter. I mean, yeah, these billion-dollar lobbyists and corporations that want things to be a certain way, yeah, they can slow down innovation and progress. They can use their red tape to their advantage, but ultimately, I don't believe they can halt progress. You know, they can just slow it down, which, you know, it really doesn't help anybody but themselves. But, you know, that is human nature, I guess. Yeah, I just think that blockchain will eventually win out, just as superior technologies always win out. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of understanding. Right now, the people who are in the blockchain are people who more or less conceptualize what blockchains are capable to do. So that's kind of why I made this channel, and that's why I share these thoughts, to better conceptualize what blockchain's capabilities are and how outreaching they can become. Because this is a lifetime opportunity, and this is what people mean when they say, like, getting into cryptocurrency is a once in a lifetime opportunity, because you have the ability to take place in a technology that's going to get rid of governments and banks who have historically run everything, and it's going to restore freedom to people. You know, so it's at the same time like a complete revolution, and it's completely 100% peaceful. And, you know, that's just a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing to be a part of. I don't see how is that the government could win. At the end of the day, I think the government only has so much power. I think the government has as much power as that we give it, and that as long as we have the free market plus blockchain will equals win for the people. And that's just basically what it is. Like, we're seeing right now in today's society that the government has pretty much, it feels like they're winning. It feels like corruption's winning. It feels like the little guy's getting smushed out, but in reality there's like this huge just power just growing every single day, and just new people just coming and, you know, looking up you know, new information and learning new things that ultimately makes the movement just that more powerful. So it's like there's always going to be more of us than them. So the free market plus technology beats any sort of bureaucratic control, and that's just how I feel. So leave me a comment in the comment sections below if you guys agree. If you disagree, let me know why and why you feel like that. Like and subscribe if you're new to the channel, Hashtag Dex only. Yeah.